Okay. So this is just past the trail, right? Okay, let's just see. Oh, is there a trail? Oh wow, there's a trail as well. Okay, now I thought I was doing something very heroic. Okay, so I'm still trying to understand what I'm supposed to talk about in discovering nature, of course. Yeah, I just had to turn on this boost. Okay, to me, discovering nature is basically, I mean, now what can you discover? Well, mushrooms. That's the mushroom season. And there are a lot of mushrooms. So I also, because I have a lot of experience already, yeah, I want to go down there. So this is the path, but I am clearly leaving the path. Also the path of ordinary experience that people like to stick to. So this is basically a bit like Twig, you know, Into the Deep Woods, where life just, you know, starts to chuckle and just says, here, you know, have an adventure, my friend. You know, we will take away your concept of reality. And you have to deal with that, which is what I'm basically facing. You know, I discovered the thing called the mask, and I found it in many places. I found it in Crash Bandicoot, and I found it in all kinds of other places. So this is also about taking your time, because, wow, I'm not taking enough time away from this. You know, today is a beautiful weather, so you could say I have no excuse. But I also want to start to just go hiking no matter the weather. But what I feel is, because today I ate nothing, this is basically, I'm on a fast today. I'm not sure how long. Because often, you know, you have so much food at home that you feel compelled to eat it. And it starts to increasingly annoy me, to say the least. Yeah, I'm not sure about mushrooms. Doesn't look good. I have no book, right? So I'm just gonna do this intuitively, but I'm probably not gonna show you which ones I pick until I know they're edible. Which is just gonna be my own experiments. I mean, we're talking about edible in terms of casual eating. You know, it doesn't mean you cannot eat. It doesn't mean you cannot eat, let's say, fly agaric. It's just the effects are quite intense. So this is just the time of the year, which means that to a certain degree, maybe what you do or what you look for in nature also varies with the season, which makes it a really interesting place to discover, right? Also who you are in relation to everything else that just happens by itself, right? Because, let's face it, if we would stop doing stuff here in this supposed, yeah, society or the reality created by the industry, then what we see is Oh. So they're clearly being eaten a lot by snails. You know, I have seen snails nesting in them. I mean, this is super hard. But this doesn't look like the one I was looking for. Okay, wow, it's super hard to focus. But in the end, you know, what is my content supposed to do? I'm going out to discover nature. What I need to do is push myself to discover nature even without the camera, which is what I'm training to do, right? So I'm practicing letting go. So I can then let myself go into nature. You know, the only things that usually walk here is then dogs, you know, because people maybe let them off the leash, but people rarely come here. So this is discovering nature, right? This is basically, you just get out of the house and then you just look for interesting things, interesting shapes, interesting patterns. I mean, I do this anyway. As soon as I leave the house, I look out for things. How many people, you know, I just pick up information. How many people do I see that have phones in their hands? How many people do I find that have like Bluetooth headphones? So how many people do you see that are actually focused on the real world, on what is really happening? Well, quite few, if you ask me. So once more, this is an area that people today call Germany, that has had other names. It has no to few poisonous or venomous animals. You know, everything that was once wild or bigger than a deer or whatever and had claws was just killed. So now, you know, we're living in times of depression. People don't know even what to do in nature. So you see how you get better at, you know, just being like this. You know, if you do a lot of standing and a lot of hiking in bare feet, then quite naturally your legs will become so strong that they no longer have problems to support your weight. So this is also about taking the time, right? Slowing down a little. There are these mushrooms that grow on trees. I have heard they can be used for, I don't know, like smoking. But yeah, not to smoke them like smoking them to like smudging. I don't know how you call that. Smudging. So yeah, I drank this Vertia powder today, but I was quite sleepy. I did some work on the computer. I released one episode, an interview on my German podcast that I did in 2021, which is, you know, about discrimination and vaccinations and all that stuff. It was for the book The Dignity of the Unvaccinated, which I have translated into English. Yeah, so I mean, the one thing you probably have to get rid of is your disgust for other people. There's no use to, to always want to be alone. I mean, you can be alone, but there's no telling, who will approach you. Now, on the topic of venomous and poisonous animals, first of all, poisonous are animals, that work on being ingested. Venomous are animals that ingest venom or poison into you. So that's basically the day. Yo, that's the one. Okay, let's see if that actually works. Because now I was starting to get a bit... It's just a shame if you don't know. If they don't look. Actually, they look like some kind of a dough. Okay. So yeah, so today I have then ate nothing, drank this Swertia tea stuff. If you get to the point where you can just run over this without problems. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's just about holding it. Because I know actually I can do it. But sometimes you don't know, right? You walk over it. And then something happens and suddenly you fall. So it's of course about training this to do it over and over again. And then there's of course also the the unpredictability, because you never quite know. But this is clearly what can make your life a bit more interesting. If you simply start doing stuff like this, I've never experienced it like this. This is really strange. It's like the tree is becoming its own surface and you almost don't feel the height anymore. I mean, that's basically what you want, right? Because, I mean, don't think about it, right? I mean, you don't think that a monkey is always like, oh my god, how high is this? No, he's just like he is when he's walking on the ground. So also this looks like super wild and all of that stuff, but the path is just there. So anyone can walk here, which is why you just keep on wearing your clothes, right? But it is super nice. And this is a really good training. I mean, this is then its own yoga session. And then if you know you can do stuff like this, it brings a whole nother level to these physical yoga sessions you do at home. Because in the end, it's about balance, right? I mean, how many people do you know that do these things? You know, I don't do them every day because I also lose track. But if all humans could do this, then we would clearly treat each other with respect. So it's not like you prepare to fall. You know, that's not what it's about. It's not about preparing to fall. It's about knowing you can do this and then doing it. Which doesn't mean I will never fall. And this is how a human gets his strength back, or her strength back. And this will help you with any yoga form you want to practice. This is then partly monkey yoga. Relying too much on food is gonna make you too heavy. So it's better to learn how to fast. This I could have never done if I would have stayed at home. And now if you, let's say, have to travel 20 kilometers, but you have a car, to get into forests like this? Well, for me it's half an hour walking. And if it is then for you half an hour driving, you know, then better invest it like this. But, you know, the rest you do walking, you go shopping on foot. So if you can walk somewhere in, let's say, an hour, then do it. If you can walk somewhere in half an hour, just one way, then do it. Go there for half an hour and then do whatever you do and then go back. You know, take the extra time so you can spend more time out of the house and in the real world. You know, you want to be stressed. You want to put in the work. You want to be a bit like, you want to feel alive. And for that you have to confront death in a certain way. Because every step is another, you know, it's about letting go. Making a step but not clinging to the last step you've made. So that you continue walking, which is why it's sometimes better to slow your pace. You know, I am now off coffee, officially. But it takes a while till it's out of your system, because it's like gasoline pumping through your veins, making you into something you're not. And I was reluctant to leave today, but if the weather is like this, it's hard to resist. Now, I want to clearly be less reluctant to leave the house when it's raining. I'm not sure if it's necessary, but I'm always waiting for such a long time. And then, although I look physically fit, I often feel spiritually weak. If I would always be here in nature, then that would probably not happen like this, because I'd always be connected. So I come here also to recharge. You know, so getting comfortable. If you're comfortable like this, then your tantra could be much better. That's what it's all about then. One discipline helps you in another discipline. You just have to pick your disciplines. But this is essential. If you just look at this beautiful, beautiful scenery, but you cannot really do this if there's a lot of people around, because they'll just, you know, be angry at your freedom or something. And then they'll try to befriend you. And you just don't want this. So you just find places where you can be alone. Even close to where you normally are. Oh wow. Like, what is this? Look at this view. And exactly above here, two planes just crossed. So, I mean, when you discover nature where you live, where you are, you know, then you can really get to know places and you can really take your time. But if you only do this on holiday, then you're screwed. I mean, you could do this instead of watching documentaries, and instead of moping about, you know, that there's no red deer servus elafus, that there's no red deer here. Well, be happy of any wild animal that you see, any wild animal that you can connect with. Just be happy. And that's all I can say to you then. You know, I'm happy if I see a snail and I can keep on looking at snails and then learn oh wow, there's all kinds of different snails. And then I can look at all kinds of other things. But I have to make an effort to come here and to get to know nature, and then maybe I'll also see things that other people don't even know exist. But I don't have to tell them, because these are the secrets of the forest. And, you know, she opens her legs wide to the man that dares to enter. I'm just saying, it's just that most men don't. And most women don't. So in the end, you know, true people go to nature. Everyone else is just trying to have fun. I mean, this can be your moment of meditation, of relaxation. And that's not like super jungle, but I can see jungle. It's just nature. Nature is everywhere the same. You just have to find her. You know, you have to learn to look at it. So a day of fasting and drinking some bitter tea or some bitter powder or something like Swertia, Swertia, you know, that could be your entrance. You don't need to take anything, because you are the essence, you know. And you can just take a leaf from an oak tree and just chew on it. And then you can learn little by little, right? And the plants will start to speak to you. And then it's basically as simple as it is. I mean, what's simple? There's nothing simple. But then ultimately it is. It's just this inner stuff that sometimes keeps us from actually doing what we want to do. Because we feel like we cannot. So today I don't feel like pushing too far into nature. And to a certain degree it annoys me. I mean, I wish I could just really just be here all the time, but I simply feel like I cannot. And I wish like we would always have such weather. You know, but we do not. And that's then part of life. You know, people always wish for this weather. And this is also where most of my recordings have been made. But we should appreciate any challenge. But yeah, I mean, maybe in really rainy weather, you don't want to make a recording or something. Plus, I'm also looking for new gear. You know, there's like an army shop where I have bought my backpack, or both my backpacks, just the small ones, you know. I didn't pay more than 30 euros. And they're also not specific brands or something. It's just branded. That's one brand. But it's like a bargain price. And I have looked for a new rain cover. And I'm looking into, you know, making an investment. But all the gear you find today is not very proper. It's not very proper. And also the other clothes. It's probably better to go for wool and just get stuff that keeps you warm even if it's wet. Or just get used to the cold. You know, it's hard to say how times used to be like. You know, what would people like Aragorn, what would he wear, right? And how can I get such clothes? Okay. I think the hardest challenge for a man is to just not masturbate and to simply keep on training your pelvic floor muscles. But reducing sugar and stopping with coffee is a good way. So if you could lie on this and it becomes comfortable, I think you've won. Seriously. I think then you've won. So you have to learn to find comfort in unlikely places. Hey, what's this? Just stuff. The mucus. Mucus. Yeah, it would be interesting to know how to find truffles, by the way. But maybe that's also for later. I just don't want to buy these things any longer. Because you know that you could just... So it's still quite a challenge to figure out, you know, to even record these videos throughout the week. So you could just do this 10 times and then you've got your training in. Wow. That's basically all there is to it. I mean, I am 90% of the time alone, my friend. Because people are afraid of everything I do. They're afraid of everything I say. And I've simply trained to let go. Which I do. Basically all of the time. Right? So it's up to you. Because everyone I met never wanted to do this. Then you ask yourself why? Is it the fear? Is it me? Is there some kind of spiritual stuff going on under the surface that I don't know about? You know, that I am something? Is it what I carry? I think it's mostly people's fear of how they're being seen, because they have now created an image of themselves. And if I come along, you know, it's hard to see yourself as a friend. Well, this does look edible. Certainly, this is an edible mushroom. This one I will leave. Yes, so I will simply make food from nature more often. But you know, don't just go around. I mean, I have waited till I felt secure enough so I can distinguish, you know, things from things. And it takes some time to get used to not eating. So fasting is clearly something you can practice. And because I often see myself in this position where people have given me food, I feel compelled to eat it, lest it go bad, right? So this is often the problem that I'm facing. You have to prepare this, but if you just buy your food, you know, I'm just being given it. And often it also helped me. Ouch. You know, still trying to figure out if there will ever be a day where, you know, thorns can no longer, or they don't hurt me. So I just left everyone behind because they were just holding me back. They were clinging. And it was simply annoying me because they had selfish motives, but I have a life to build. So this for me is better than sitting around and talking, you know? So also if anyone ever should join me, they have to learn to shut up. And I really mean that, you know? Because I cannot stand this empty talk. You want to go into nature to connect. But that then entirely depends on you, right? Everyone's just too slow for me. And that's a fact. They're just too slow, you know? They're all clinging. They're all trapped. And I let go. You know, I let go of the concept that people think themselves into of what it means to be a human. I let go of that. I make my own definitions by observing and paying attention and then learning. By making experiences. So one thing to consider is also like, you know, traps, like bear traps and stuff. This looks like interesting part of the forest. So you have to know your surroundings, my friend. As far as I'm aware, there are no such traps here. But, you know, you'll know if you step into one. Okay, this is not edible. At least that much I think I know. I think this is like a brown type fly agaric. And also here, right, you have to, this is quite steep, but I know how to place my feet and stuff. So like I said, I'm not an idiot. I know where I am, right? If this would be Africa, you know, then going barefoot would clearly be more of a challenge because I couldn't be so casual. But, you know, you'll get used to that as well in due time. But one thing you have to probably also let go of is all your ideas of what could kill you. I mean, just remember, people are afraid of mosquitoes. People are afraid of everything. And I simply say, you can think yourself or believe yourself into dying. But then it's just your own weakness. So learn to stand on your own 2 feet also in terms of opinions. You know, you don't have to have stupid opinions just to trigger people. I think it's about having opinions that reflect what you feel is real. Now this is probably a nice piece of forest for mushrooms. And again, you know, at a certain point, you'll be less greedy for what people call psychedelics. Why? Because once you tap into your own psychedelic potential, you realize that that's actually the normal state. You know, this feels like the way mushroom trips felt like. Because I have learned simply stay erect, right? You don't want to get drawn into the underworld. So you just stay focused. Stay focused on where you plant your feet. You have your breath, the moment. And that is hard to endure. I mean, I'm still struggling. I cling to the camera as well as, you know, anyone else. And I still feel broken and abused and used and all of this stuff. So I'm still also looking for where, right? Where to find what species. So also in terms of animals, and of course if you're walking around talking, then you probably have little chance of finding certain animals, right? So even birds. I did hear that. But you may find, of course, snakes. Even in an area like this. It's not a particularly cold day. And if there's a nice patch of sun right close to a snake's hole, it may be here. So you probably always have to check where you're looking, but also keep your surroundings in check. Because, you know, even though you don't think there's no bears or no wolves here, or even, you know, you think it's unlikely you're gonna meet warthogs or any such things, or wild boar, you know, it's better to be prepared that you might discover these things. And then it's better to say nothing and to make no sudden movements and to just respect each other and clearly not try to touch anything. You know, this is like basic knowledge. You know, some people, they always want to catch and touch everything. You know, they're lacking respect. It's not what you do. It's just my opinion. You know, you have to respect nature, or otherwise you will learn nothing. And if you lack respect for nature, you know, then your first psychedelic experiences may be quite traumatizing, because you have to have respect for the world that surrounds you. It's just hard to say what that really means. So yeah. I'll just keep telling you to keep observing and to not care too much about what you think is happening on the surface. Sometimes you really have to listen if there's something happening on the other side, and then make choices according to, you know, how long are you going to stay. But I'd rather build this up. Yeah. This looks like an area where wild animals could spend the night. You know, and then you wish you had feet like deer, or hoofs, or, you know. But how long do you have to walk, right? How much do you have to walk? Until you can silently make your way through nature and give her the respect that she deserves. How long? Sniffing is also a good exercise. And I think I'm done recording now. It's long enough. I still have to do 2 more videos this week. So reducing is not always easier, because now you have to know what to do with the rest of the time. Because when you stop, you often feel reluctant to continue. And that's my challenge at the moment, you know. Now I only record 6 videos per week. And before I did sometimes during a day 3 or 4, just to keep going. Okay. I mean, this is discovering nature, possibly number 3 or something, you know. Just keep on going, keep on merging, keep on discovering yourself in nature. Oh wow, I'm in nature again. How did I get here? You know, oh wow, there's a wild human, or an attempting to be wild human. You know, that's what it's about. That's what it's about, I'd say.